At the time, it was perceived danger. I was really like, oh my gosh,
What am I gonna do?
messed up my life. The shame was immense. I dated multiple girls inside of the church group that were in my grade. Actually seeing two of them at the same time. I ended up finding out. I went back to live with my dad. But he didn't know that I'd failed out college or anything. I had 40K in debt. I didn't tell him any of these things because I didn't want to be like rejected. Really in a tough spot. I'm just like emotionally not there. It's just my dad, like, you have to force him out. Literally pulled up the Bible verse. Responsibilities as a good husband are to prioritize my wife over you. And I said, okay, great. Like, awesome. I'm going to be homeless. I was starting to have like suicidal ideations. Emotions are so strong. Like, wow, this is love, right? And then we broke up twice, 2 times over the course of 3 years. And I went to church every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday for all of my middle school, like all of middle school, and 1 year into high school. I honestly would say outside of a few unique cases, like my story of being raised in a Christian home is pretty standard. So there's a few things that happened that really has had me, I think, even without me realizing it, had me questioning whether or not faith and Christianity was for me. It wasn't a choice. I did not think like, oh wow, I don't believe in God.
So
I
I'm gonna
need to
stop
just
going.
leave. Yeah, like this is not for me. Like my brother
was an
did.
event.
Mine was more of like a subconscious separation from the church. In high school, I was clean and straight. I wasn't partying. I didn't have friends to party with. My entire like universe revolved around this friend group. I dated multiple girls inside of the church group that were in my grade, and the culmination of that was I was actually seeing 2 of them at the same time my senior year of high school, a summer into senior year, and they ended up finding out. And I wasn't dating either of them technically, right?
You were talking to both of them.
Talking to both of them, yes. And they found out. And then I'd also been dating another girl for a long time, like 2 years prior to that, who was in the church, in the youth group, hanging out with all of us. Like, this was our friend group. I did not have any friends outside of this group of people. Like
These 3 girls?
No, like the church, the youth group.
Got it.
And so yeah, that happened. And then it was really uncomfortable to go to church. I felt like judgment from the church, right? For those events that took place. I felt like I could not belong there because of my sin. It was one of the first things that pushed me out of the church. I think I went to church all the way up until graduation. And then the summer...
High school graduation?
Yeah, high school graduation.
Okay.
And I didn't drink, do drugs, nothing. When I graduated high school, get into college, right? And it's a completely different environment. And I'm not friends with them anymore, so I go and find my own way. So that's the environment that I grew up in.
Where were you in college? Where did you go to college? OU. You went to
joined
OU?
a frat. Yeah, I joined a fraternity.
You joined a frat?
Yeah, I was in a fraternity at OU.
Okay.
Tough times, no lie. Which, if you're a Christian, it would make sense. It's like you're falling away from the people that are, following Christ. When I dropped out of college after 1.5 years, I went back to live with my dad. And he took me in. Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. He's really nice. He's a really good man for that. But he didn't know that I failed out college or anything. Like, he didn't know that I had 40K in debt. I didn't tell him any of these things because I didn't want to be like rejected. Living at my dad's house, and after about 1 year, because I'm really in a tough spot. I'm just like emotionally not there. Like I don't remember actually a lot of this time in my life. I have a hard time recollecting what was actually going on. But I was hanging out with people, smoking a lot of weed,
Makes it tough
doing
to...
what you do, yeah, serving at Louis. So, anyways, and then I stopped following the rules of the house. It's just my dad, like, you have to force him out. He's got to leave. And I remember talking to my dad while he's on the computer, and this is happening in real time. It's at night, and I'm asking him. He's like telling me, "Hey, you've got to go. You've got to leave." And I'm asking him, why? Like, why do I need to leave? I've told you I can follow the rules. I'll do better. And he said, "I'm sorry. It's not my decision to make." And I remember, like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, why wouldn't you have a part to play in this decision? And he says, my responsibilities as a good husband are to prioritize my wife over you. I was like, okay, Christianity doesn't make any sense. Because he literally pulled up the Bible verse. And I was like, how could this be? You know what I mean? Like, how could this be love? He pulled up the Bible? And eventually, he wasn't moving. He's just like, this is what I have to do. I'm sorry. I have to do it. And I said, okay, great. Like, awesome. I'm going to be homeless. Because I didn't have anywhere to go. My mom was in North Dakota at this time. I didn't have anywhere to live. And I remember walking out. And it's raining outside. And, I remember walking to my car and turning around. And my dad, he's running out. He has no shoes on. And our front yard is just laden with stickers. Tons of stickers. And he's bawling, crying his eyes out, running across this yard, just stepping in all these stickers. He falls to the ground. And he said, son, I'm sorry. I just want to say goodbye. And I just remember turning around and closing the trunk because I had all my stuff in it. And I was just like, this was your decision. And I drove off. And that was one of my most vivid memories. And so that doesn't feel good. Obviously, my brain isn't going to perceive that as love.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe it was. I think he was doing his best. I don't blame him for the decision. He had to keep his marriage together. This is the third reason. My stepdad, Craig, who I hadn't seen in 3 or 4 years.
So this is your mom's...
Yeah, second husband.
Second husband, okay.
They were no longer together, and he was living alone. And I hadn't reached out to him in 2 or 3 years. He's an atheist, I believe. Craig, I haven't talked to you in a while, but I don't remember if you were atheist. I know he didn't believe in God, though. Mm-hmm. He didn't believe in God. He
so either agnostic or atheist, probably?
Yeah, one or the other. The question God, right? Whatever. Not a Christian is really all that my mind conceived at the time. Mm-hmm. And I called him after not talking to him for 3 years and said, hey, you want to go to the garage and get food? And he said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And we did. And we ended up talking, and I told him my situation. And he didn't even hesitate. He was just like, come live with me. I've got you. And I think that he saved my life in that regard, because who knows where I could have ended up. I mean, I have family, so I don't think it would have been as bad as somebody else might have to go through with no family members. But at the time, it was perceived danger. I was really like, oh my gosh,
what am I going to do?
Messed up my life. Mm-hmm. The shame was immense. At Craig's house, I was starting to have suicidal ideations because nobody knew the issue I was having. I was $40K in debt, working a construction job, 50 hours a week, just living just living on rice and beans, literally Dave Ramsey style, to try and get out. During this period of time, I'm experiencing big swings, right? So from going to suicidal ideations to believing in God again, and then putting back in stressful positions where I don't really care about my spirituality. So there's these big swings, and over time, what happened was I just stopped caring about spirituality at all. And that's been the last 10 years, probably. Well, I'm 29, so last 6-7 years. And so my final experience that really has shaped my worldview is that I have not focused on my spirituality for the last 7 years at all. And I've still continued to experience growth. And I've been able to make connections with people, my wife, and I've been able to recover from what seemed like a very dark place, right?
Yeah.
And so it's why is that? This question I've been asking repeatedly is why and what I specifically feel like I've been doing is focusing on my emotions and understanding, well, how do I perceive the world? Why do I make certain decisions, right? And it's led me to this place where I'm at right now. At least not in total isolation, right? Because there are other experiences that I have to be aware of that could be something else. But I've built up my own understanding of why I feel at peace right now, and why I feel deep connection with the people around me. And an example of that deep connection is with my wife. And this is another experience that I've had that kind of shapes me. My wife and I have had moments in our relationship where, and maybe you've had this before, let me know, where we feel so deeply connected, trustworthy, trusting with each other. We feel love, right? And so when I first met her, we were experiencing this feeling of wow, this person's amazing, right? You're awesome. Oh wow, you're meant for me, right? All of the initial feeling someone might feel when you start to know somebody, right? As science would consider it a really chemical bond that's being created, right? Emotions are so strong, wow, this is love, right? And then we broke up 2 times over the course of 3 years. and had our issues, right? And then we get back together for a year and we say, hey, let's really give this a shot. And she's loved me unconditionally despite our differences. That's why we broke up twice. We just had seemingly different values, right? Get back together. Fast forward a year, we live at this shoddy house for a year, and then we move here. And here, there was a moment where I'm sitting on my couch with her, our couch with her, after a big, like, just, it wasn't even an argument because we've never yelled at each other, ever. We've never yelled, but we had a misunderstanding of each other's intentions. And it was so challenging. We're like, man, how are we going to get through this? Are we going to be able to get past this?
Were you guys married at that point?
Yes. Are we going to be able to get past this? And we again came back and said, hey, I said, like, hey, like, I need you to see me as a different person now than I was a year ago. I was like, you're holding on to a previous perception of me that's causing you to see me differently than what I am and who I am. And so you're questioning my intentions, but my intentions for you are good, and I love you. And she started crying, and we just hugged and embraced, and I could feel her like accepting me, allowing me to like love her again. And that whole day was just amazing after that. And this release of tension and like just complete allowance of trust between us created a closeness that is really the baseline for my question of like, can you love like God outside of the Christian framework, right? And I've asked you that question before, because that night we're sitting here in this room and it's dark and the light's on right there, and I'm looking into her eyes and we're just hanging out, and it's the most present that I've ever been ever in my life. Time slows down, and it sounds woo-woo, but like, I don't know if you've ever experienced a moment like this, where time slows down around you, no longer care about anything outside of what's right in front of you. And you feel like connected to this person. And it's a sense of just absolute peace. You feel like nothing could go wrong. You don't care about anything. Except for this person in front of you and how awesome they are and how loving they are to you and their acceptance of you. That's how I would describe it. And that is like kind of a feeling that's the main feeling, and it lasted for a while. So, oh man, there's another one similar to that.
Yeah.
Crazy. That was even bigger, but that's the main one if I had to describe it. And we're running out of time and I want you to be able to speak, but I've had multiple instances like that with like a few of my absolute closest people. And I didn't try to assign it to anything, really. I didn't like try to reason what is this? Why did this happen? Why do I feel this way? It was just like, this is how I feel, and it feels good, and I want to continue doing that. I want to continue that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I didn't even of course you want to continue it, right? But it was amazing. It was awesome. And so, fast forward now, it's like, I have questions. I have questions.
Understandably, yeah.
And if I was believing in God, I could say, hey, that's God, right? I didn't care about God. Wasn't worried about whether or not he existed at all. And so I'm open to arguments that was God and I just didn't know it, right? That's a possibility. Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be posting Mark's story about the reasons he believes in God, his personal experiences, hopefully next week. So subscribe and like the video if you want to see a continuation of this. Ultimately, we're asking each other big questions and showing what it can look like to understand each other, even though we don't see eye to eye on these kinds of questions and the existence of God, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully I will see you again on the next one. Thanks.